Good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Bong Hit Diaries. Well, it's been about 4 hours since I took a bong hit, so it's not quite the Bong Hit Diaries. I'm waiting to get my oil changed, and Daisy and I are sitting here bullshitting. Yeah, I talked to Daisy. I talked to my dog. I know, most people do. It's not weird. It's normal. So one thing that has been normalized is retaliation against residents by politicians and their flying monkeys, basically. So you have politicians in this county, and you also have people that are writers that support them. You have newspapers and you have media that support many of these politicians. And it's very divided in this community. And both sides are responsible for much of the confusion with race and gender and so forth. So both extremes, the conservative and the liberal, are responsible, regardless if they're white or black. Both those paradigms have created so much hate and violence in our community, and I think people need to step back from their political affiliations and really think about being human again. So what do I mean? Well, much of my conflict with Oceano Community Services District and the county is because I instituted a lot of types of ideas that undermined their ability or their authority or their ego legally. I didn't do anything illegal. One of the things I did was made a video that really pissed off Lynn Compton, and that's why I started calling her Marcia Compton, because she had a first world problem and didn't realize that I was allowed to express my First Amendment right and explain to children and families how to do the same, how to legally protest peacefully in your neighborhood by using art. So I basically was going to chalk Lynn Compton's political body on the sidewalk. Basically, you know how police officers and sheriff's department, when somebody dies, they chalk an outline of their body where they're laying. Basically, that's where I got the idea from. I took a military tactic, because when you chalk that on the concrete, you're doing that not only for specific purposes of actually documenting the actual location of the body. That's also a method for intimidating the public not to do murders. People don't realize the psychological intimidation of an outline of somebody's chalk outline of somebody's body where they were murdered or they fell to their death. This is a very psychological, intimidating type of tactic that the government uses against people. I know this because I was privy to much of their psychic countermeasures for the federal government. So I took something that I already knew, and I said, hey, we can use this peacefully to protest. So my idea was to make a stencil, have whole families take a stencil and cut out with scissors or with a tiny little hobby knife a stencil of Lynn Compton's face, and take colored chalk, and stencil her face on their private driveways. Everybody's private driveways, they have a right to stencil chalk, or they can even paint their driveways. So temporarily stencil chalk on their driveways by using chalk, and then write, we need new sidewalks, or we want new computers. And that's the way you peacefully protest. Or you're a thief, or whatever you want to do. You're allowed to use chalk on your own private property to protest. Well, when they found out about that, Marcia would have none of that. She flipped the hell out. She's like, she's teaching kids how to cut my face, and oh my God, he's threatening to cut my face. Do you understand? She took something so simple and stretched it beyond imagination and complained to the county that I was teaching kids how to cut her face or her child's face, and that her fear of me cutting her was so bad that she had to get a restraining order against me. This is called abuse of power. So she had to withdraw that restraining order when I threatened a lawsuit, because this is what people do in this community. If they don't like what you say, or they don't like your peaceful methods of protest or public criticism, they'll file legal instruments against you until you waste a bunch of money and time and energy fighting it. And by the time you're done fighting it, the issue has already subsided. This is illegal. This is what Lynn Compton did. She's in a lot of trouble. She doesn't realize this, but after this video, it'll like literally a light bulb will go off in her head. That is called retaliation. You see, you can't stop people from freely expressing themselves, or you cannot stop people from teaching other people in their community how to peacefully protest on their own property. Just think, if people stenciled her face on every single driveway in Oceano saying we need new sidewalks, do you think she would get away? Do you think she would get away with all this crap, or any politician would get away with the crap they pull in Oceano? No, of course not. So this is the real issue with me and the Oceano Community Services District in the county. I come up with these brilliant ideas to peacefully protest. You know what one of my protests was last year when this George Floyd thing happened? You know how I peacefully protested? I planted the first George Floyd annual sunflower garden. Yes, at the Oceano Depot. Now we're having the second annual George Floyd Memorial Sunflower Garden. That's how I protested, okay? So I protest that behavior peacefully. What does Cynthia Rapogel do? She allegedly stuck a razor blade in her tire. I don't know the whole story. This woman is paranoid and schizophrenic. And then she blamed it on me or somebody in the neighborhood. She's trying to make something stick that I'm stalking her. This woman runs down my street every morning. She stops in the middle of the intersection, right in front of my window, and does stretches. I don't know why. It's really creepy. To either, sometimes I think it's maybe she's trying to antagonize me or get my attention. What is she doing jogging down my street? So most of the time she doesn't do that, but sometimes she does, and she'll stop right in the middle of the street, and she does all these creepy stretches, and I'm like, this is just, you know. And then last year, her and April Dury stalked me and Linda Austin, which is Linda Guyton, that's her maiden last name, not only at her place of business, places where we recreate on the beach. They would park their cars right in front of Linda's businesses, and they would stand out there and they would take pictures, like April Dury would take pictures of her dog peeing on Linda Austin's business property on one of their signs, okay? And they were constantly, we have pictures of all this. They would post this stuff. They were so stupid of posting all their stalkingness online. And then April Dury would not only stalk me and Linda Austin, she would stalk Will Clemens, the plant supervisor, the district supervisor here in OCSD. He is the manager of OCSD over here. She goes to his parking spot to check to see if he's in the office. Do you understand how stalky this woman is, April Dury and Cynthia Rapogel? So last meeting, they claimed that I'm stalking them because I had been sending emails to Lynn Compton in the county explaining that I had written a complaint. The FBI's involved because April Dury and Julie Tacker and people from the Cal Coast News try to target me because I have a service dog, and they continued to harass me and intimidate me in public meetings to the point where they physically assaulted me and verbally assaulted me and committed hate crimes in front of eyewitnesses that are willing to testify, including public officials. This is not fantasy. This is a reality. They thought they were going to get away with it. And after that event, because I complained about it, they tried to retaliate against me by stalking me at my home, Linda's place of business, Linda Austin, Linda Austin's family's ranch on the beach. They actually came onto her property okay? And their friends. They have friends. These people are part of some very militant liberal movement in our community, and they actually assault people. So actually have to go. I'll be right there in a minute. Sorry. So they actually assault people in our community by stalking them and intimidating them. Well, the last straw for me was when I sent a private message through Facebook to the sheriff and the DA. I said, you need to get a hold of this fucking lunatic, Cynthia Rapogel. People realize that she is an estranged board member. She's a director, but she's estranged, and so is Aileen Villa. Both of these people lied about their backgrounds, and then they started attacking residents and ratepayers in our community, including business owners that wouldn't join their stupid Oceano Beach Association. So if you don't agree with them, they're going to stalk you until you do. And this is the problem. We have grown adults that don't know how to compromise or tolerate other people with different belief systems. And we need this in leadership. Those Cynthia Rapogel nor Aileen Villa bring people together. They split them apart. They use identity politics, and they use victimization techniques to intimidate people into forcing them to vote or believe what they want to believe, and allow them to go ahead and abuse people physically and verbally in public meetings. I was the first one who demanded a sheriff in that meeting, and ironically, when I demanded a sheriff, and I also demanded a public decorum, a written one, where Cynthia Rapogel and her group of feminazis and liberal terrorists and Cal Coast News contributors do not stalk and intimidate and verbally abuse people in the meetings. I'm the only one out of everyone, including board members. All the board members have used foul language in that meeting, including the residents and Cal Coast News people, and they stalk you. They physically assaulted me. I've never physically assaulted anybody. I've never threatened anybody. I've never used foul language. I've never intimidated anybody ever in a public meeting. I don't use the same language I use in emails. I only do that to politicians, and everybody knows this. So people here are actually trying to create false narratives to discredit and intimidate people that are reporting their criminal and civil liable behavior to not only the county board members, to the FBI and the sheriff's department. That's what this is really about. So don't listen to Cynthia Rapogel or Aileen Villa. I wrote an email. I'm like, Aileen Villa, I said, the top secret think tank that I worked in when I was working for the FBI and CIA on a project of theirs wouldn't let her even in the building, okay? And if they did, they would mistake her for somebody. They would just hand her a wastebasket thinking she was a cleaning lady, okay? This is the thing. Do you understand? These people were claiming that I was stalking them. Cynthia Rapogel came out in front of my house, and I took out my camera and started video recording her, okay? Do you understand how ridiculous she is? She tells half-truths, and then she goes and tells the board that I'm stalking her with my video camera. First of all, I don't need Cynthia Rapogel nor Aileen Villa's permission to walk freely in my neighborhood. I don't have to explain my activities to either one of them, and if they're paranoid of if they're paranoid and fearful of my presence, they should go and take some medication or get some therapy, okay? Because I don't own weapons. Cynthia Rapogel owns weapons. She brings them to public events and terrorizes people with weapons and allegedly the people she goes with carry canisters of CS gas and pepper gas, okay, and threaten and terrorize people that they disagree with at public gatherings. That's why I don't attend. Do you understand? I'm not part of any group. I'm not a part of the Dune Riders. I'm by myself. I'm just a single male living in a retirement community trying to get health care and live a peaceful existence. I go to the dunes and meditate every day. I'm a vegetarian. I do light yoga. These people are trashy people. They're garbage people. I'm cultured. I'm educated. I'm well-traveled. I'm accomplished. This is all the average you cannot use with these people because they're the complete office. And I'm not going to placate their racist and bigoted insecurities anymore. This is racist and this is bigoted behavior and this is libelous and slanderous behavior of public officials and Will Clemens. How dare he say something about me? Do you understand? I don't have to take this trash anymore from anybody. I wouldn't say that in a public meeting, but hell, I'll say it on video. They're like, how dare you say, that's my perspective. I mean, most of the people, the entire county has a problem with Oceano Community Services District. It's not just me. This is not something I'm making up. Read the paper, open up the paper and see how many hits on Google they have with problems with the Community Services District, their employees, their staff members, how they treat members of our community. The staff members, holy crap. They are so duplicitous and so malicious. It's unbelievable. I'm not talking about Carrie Cassiola. I'm talking about some of the office staff and some of the plant people. They will threaten you with violence. I have been threatened with violence from a staff over there. And people can testify to this. I mean, Linda Oskin can even testify to this. So that I'm not reporting because that I was able to de-escalate the situation to where I didn't have to go to the sheriff's department. But people are committing hate crimes against us residents. Do you understand? An internationally renowned scientist and a distinguished veteran is not going to take shit from somebody like Aileen Villa that wipes people's asses for a living and a failed engineer and a failed attorney and a supposed, but not really, rocket scientist. She said she was a rocket scientist. Do you understand? I vetted her background. This is why she doesn't like me. Cynthia Pogel tries to discredit and destroy anybody that gets in her political way. And this is what's so corrupt about her. Do you realize half the Democrats have distanced themselves from her? They just placate her now. They don't even want her on the Democratic ticket. So now you have a Democratic person that's on the Democratic ticket harassing, terrorizing a minority scientist and a veteran disabled. Not only me, but several other people in our community. Do you understand there's hundreds of people, I know their names personally, that she has terrorized or abused or slandered in our community. And what she does is she deletes her messages. She had to delete her whole Facebook account and her Instagram account and move to Twitter because she was saying such libelous things that would get the district in trouble, including attacking board members. So I have to go now. Go infantry or go home.